Welcome to the Fueled by Joy Working Dog Podcast.
I've only been in my life probably about at the most about 6 years of my life without Beagles, and that was in my early career.
Where we bring you the best in working dog coverage.
That first dog I had probably taught me more about pointing dogs than I learned anywhere else.
Yeah. From some of the best dog men and women on this planet.
You demanded that accuracy.
Brought to you, as always, by Joy Dog Food.
And that is a testament to the nutrition. That honestly, and that's where I've been ever since. I said, well, as long as they keep it like it is, I'll be right here.
Now it's time to get fueled by joy. Have you been thinking of trying Joy Dog Food and think, maybe it's not quite right for my dog? My dog is an athlete. My dog performs at peak levels and he needs the best in nutrition. Well, I got news for you. The top 3 dogs in the Professional Kennel Club's World Coonhound Championship are all fed by Joy. Oh yeah, Crash, Joe, Fame, 3 of the best in the business, as well as thousands of other working dogs use Joy Dog Food. So, there's your proof. Give Joy a shot. Go to joydogfood.com for more information. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am here with BJ Hall. We got a pretty good conversation in store for you today. And BJ, I love getting the hosts together because we're used to the podcast. The conversation always flows easy and stuff. And you're going to have to walk me through some of this Beagle stuff. And because frankly, I don't know nothing about it. So
that's all right. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, that's why we got guys like you. And of course, Cody Moreland was on yesterday. And kind of the theme of the week between Tree Dog Tuesday and Working Dog Wednesday, both is the Joy Super Hunt proposal. Still in the works. Still nothing nailed down yet, but I thought maybe we'd get on here and talk about it and just see, what a Beagle Super Hunt looks like. And at first, I want to get started with, I don't know if we should get in with the dogs that we're taking or the rules that we're going to use. Let's start with the dogs.
Okay.
Because that's still, we still haven't quite set it in stone, but it's pretty close. And so what are you thinking on what dogs, the 4 best dogs out of 2025, where are they coming from?
And like you, I, and Wade have discussed before, we are wanting to primarily take world champion winners.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, in my opinion, that leads us down to 4 different formats. We have, first we'll start with the PKC world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Then you will have the ABC World Champion, which is American Beagle Club. And then UKC, which we discussed that their World Champion isn't until October.
Right.
And then we will go with the ARHA, which is NKC Little Pack World Champion of the open class, which would be the one that had the most dogs entered into the competition. I know there's several other different formats out there, but as we have spoken in the past, we're looking for more of a hard-hitting, upper speed dog that can really move a rabbit here. And so I know it's going to make some people upset, and they're going to be calling me and texting me and asking me, well, why didn't you use this? Why didn't you use that? Well, the kicker of it is you don't have a world championship, in my opinion. And, I kind of went off like y'all had done in the past, with the coon dog super hunt, you didn't utilize AKC until later on.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, if we were to ever utilize AKC later on, and I don't know how you would go about saying we're going to pick this dog or that dog, because you've got multiple federations in the AKC world to use. But maybe in time we can figure it out. Who knows?
Well,
Go ahead.
I grew up doing a little rabbit hunting with beagles. Nothing. I've never been in a competition. I'm around some guys here that have. Irvin Taft was a UKC World Champion. Lance Wilson has finished in the top 10 a few times. I've hunted with them. I actually got a video of theirs that I done, I think in 2021, 20, something like that. But even when we were just hide hunting or pleasure hunting or whatever, it was always about speed. I mean, I wanted, even when I'm just out here watching dogs run a rabbit or listening to something, we want something that's going to move at a pretty good clip and have the opportunity to be in a place to do that. And then you take, a different style of dog and say, hey, we want, because we're going to score off that too. Speed's going to be super important in the scoring. So you take a different style of dog and you put it in with, it would like be like taking a circle track car and putting it in with a dragster, in
Yeah,
a
you're not
drag
going to keep
race.
up.
It just doesn't make any sense to have a dog. So I assume, and you let me know that it's going to be a situation where we want a very similar style of world champion and we want four of them. And, that would be the best route to go for that.
Yeah, and you should, with them four formats, you should be available the same style of dogs.
Yeah.
You're still getting the aspect of a lot of hunt. You know, true dogs that aren't going to be trashy. And they should be able to get up and find the lines and to row through them as quick as possible. And coming back to speed, with the rabbit dog world, I think there's a few types of different type of speeds that people try to utilize, and they want to sit
Mm-hmm.
there and say, well, my dog's super fast. Well, and the difference is, and just like this right here at this super hunt, it will make a difference if your dog can run a track fast versus can that dog just swing out and cheat the whole pack to get there.
Yeah.
So, you either got a dog that's rabbit fast or you got a dog that's just stupid fast.
Yeah.
You don't want the stupid fast. You still want to utilize that dog and for that dog to be on the line when he comes across to get scored. You know, in my opinion, like you're talking about speed, and we'll stick on the speed aspect of it. When you see the rabbit cross the path or come across, you're going to mark a line.
Mm-hmm.
In some formats, you got an 8 foot wide. Say your center's here, you got 4 foot to your right and 4 foot to your left for that dog to cross and be considered the line. In my way of thinking, that 4 foot's a great, 8 foot wide. If that dog can be in that and cross that line, that's pretty good for me.
Right.
And that's what a lot of your formats use. You mark the line with a laser or, a tree or something there that you can use to say that's the line. So with the scoring system that we'll get into later on this, you'll understand where you got 4 foot on each side. But now sometimes if you got a dog that's just stupid fast, he may come out of nowhere and just cross the line and get lucky and cross the line. I
Mm-hmm.
guess they can catch a break, but
How do we, because we want dogs that are good track dogs and we want dogs that are fast, obviously. But, with an 8 foot corridor, I mean, that seems fairly wide. Is
it
that
is
not wide?
wide.
Yeah.
It is wide.
I mean, you don't see even a really good beagle, you don't see them over 4 foot off the line very often,
No.
if they're running the rabbit. And,
Yeah.
unless they're just trying to swing around and catch up to the pack, like you said, or they're
Yeah.
trying to push around maybe to get in front of a dog that's on the line better.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that's plenty of leeway, 8 foot,
It is. It
for a
is.
dog to come across.
It's plenty, but the thing you got to look at, Josh, is you've got just the way that we're going to do it. You've got two extremely competitive dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and once one takes off, if it's a little bit faster, that other one's going to try to catch up. And
Yeah.
with the formats that we're taking, you should have ample speed for a dog to say, "I can get up there and I'm going to get it." But I want that dog to say, "I want that front." You know,
Yeah.
I don't want him cheating to get it, but an 8 foot, he can still have the track,
Yeah.
and it can still be right.
How often because with these super competitive dogs, and you've got a dog in the lead, you got another dog really pushing up in the back, how much does that pressure cause them to make a mistake? Because I mean, really, you know, being mistake free is just as important as, you know, being quick and being fast and being talented and all that stuff. I mean, when they get competitive, they're bound to make mistakes. I know they do in the coonhound world. You know,
Oh,
and
they're
surely
going
it's the same
to.
way with Beagles.
They're going to make a mistake, but here's with the way that this is, and you're taking dogs that have proven themselves. They're world
Hmm.
champions for a reason. They can handle the pressure.
Yeah.
Shouldn't not, these dogs that will be coming have been exposed enough to say, I don't have to worry about the pressure getting to me. Now, if you had some
Yeah.
young dogs that were doing it, I'd be concerned because you might blow their mind, but these dogs will be used to it, and it shouldn't affect it very much at all.
Well, and we talked to Wade about this too, and I've talked to Wade about this in the squirrel dog stuff. The Elite Handler Series in coon hunting is a huge hit. I love it. I love a head-to-head format. I don't care what kind of working dog or hunting dog that you're using.
Yep.
And, you know, we're going to kind of set the squirrel dogs up the same way because the Elite Handler Series is coming for the squirrel dogs. We've already got our top 10 list. We've talked to our handlers. We've got our roster made. This winter, we're going to do EHS hunts for squirrel dogs. And this is going to be, the Super Hunt is going to be a good test run. It's not going to be Elite Handler Series. It's going to be pretty similar rules. But it's head to head. You know, we're going to have two dog casts out of 4 dogs. Me and Cody talked about that. I think that's the best.
Yep.
We can have that in the morning. The 2 semifinalists that win, they come in the finals in the evening. You know, you can get more footage, you can get more coverage, you get more exposure for the dogs and stuff. And then it's a test run for an Elite Handler Series. When we're looking at Beagles, um, you know, a guy could do a head-to-head best out of 3, you know, 3 1-hour casts or, you know, 3 something, you know, just to, I don't want to do a 1 2 hour and done. I don't think that's quite good enough on a head-to-head hunt.
No.
Maybe, you know, I think, but you know, 3 1 hours, you know, you can do that in a day. Um, see who wins. Everybody gets paid. You know, this is be a good test run and a run up into maybe starting something like that for the Beagles. But
Well,
do you
if
think the Beagle guys would be interested in something like that?
I do. To be completely honest with you, a couple of friends of mine, they done a 24 dog brace hunt a couple of weeks
Hmm.
ago in Mississippi. When they put the entries, and I know with the elite handler, there's no entry, but I'm just going
Right.
off this because it's happened.
Yeah.
And when they put the entries out within a matter of an hour, no longer than 2 hours, it was full. And
Really.
yeah, and everybody, and I think it was $250 entry fee, something
Yeah.
like that, and winner take all. So
Oh, winner take
with
all. I like that.
yeah, oh, I do
That's
too.
good. I like that.
Yes,
That's nice.
yeah, that's exact. Well, and it's an incentive. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like second. You're just first loser. It's
Yeah.
just what it is.
That's
And
right.
I know to get some people more involved. You could have said, "Well, we'll pay the first 3." Nah, just winner take all.
Yeah.
Let's cut their heads off. It's just what it is.
That's
And
why coon hunters need to do more of that.
yes, and here's the thing of it, and just like that, we was talking. Let's go back to speed on this. Okay, when they hosted that hunt, speed dogs got killed.
Really?
They couldn't handle it. Well, here was the
Yeah.
thing: you were running baby rabbits. You
Yeah.
ever ran beagles and got into baby rabbits? They
I
don't. They
have, but
don't
I've never paid
cross.
them. Yeah.
It's hard to
Yeah.
get them to come out. and
Yeah.
and then they're going to zig and zag and cut little circles. And so in all actuality, you needed a dog that would slow down and grind it out to where you could even
Hmm.
see the baby rabbit to get across.
Yeah.
you know but now if conditions were different on the flip side of it, the speed dogs would have shined. But anyways, that to me, that right there goes to show that there's interest in what you people like you and I want to see
Yeah.
head to head. Let's see who's the best dog.
Yeah.
Bracket style, bust it down, winner take all. Second place don't matter anyways. You
Yeah.
know, um,
And
I'm not a guy that I'm not looking for second place.
no,
If I show
and
up,
I
I
don't
want to
think
win.
there's a split culture in coon hunting. All we got to do is win that 1 cast to get our money back, 2 casts to make money.
Now, is that a
And
financial thing, or is that?
a lot of it's a financial thing. You figure guys like, say I go out to Super Stakes, JR's paying my entries. I've got everything paid to go out there. Whatever I win, I split 50-50. my bills are already paid. I'm out there playing with house money.
Yeah,
But also, it's not my sole way of making a living either.
that's true.
Whenever I've got a wife and a family, and I can split, just like last year or last weekend in Oklahoma. I think it was 40,000 for first, or the split was 20.
Yeah,
Everybody could get 20.
yeah.
And so
Everybody
four guys were
covered.
like, well, I'll just because fourth place paid like 7,000.
Yeah, so it's
And
better to
so
split and get the 19K and walk away.
exactly. They're guaranteed that 20,000. They're guaranteed 10 of it. Otherwise, they could come out. There's a big difference between 10,000 and 3,500 when you're going home to pay your light bill.
You daggone right, especially if you got a woman sitting there waiting for you.
That's right. That's right. Wondering
You
why,
know,
saying, why on earth did you not split, you idiots?
exact taxes are due, boys.
Yep.
Come on now. It's just
But
what
I've
it
also
is.
seen I've also seen guys like Steve Sykes got his own dog, trained his own dog, paid his own entry, and goes
We
down
hunting it out.
and hunts it off and wins $100,000 down to Michael Moody.
Yeah.
Cleared $96,000. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
had a good year's wages in 2 nights.
Oh
So
yeah.
that can happen too. And I'm a gambler, so I'm like, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. We're
I
gonna
didn't
hunt
have
it
any
out
money
if
when
I'm
I
there.
didn't have any money when I got here. That 100,000 sounds pretty good. Let's do that.
Exactly. My thing of it is, and I get it, like you said, if that's their business and that's how they
Yeah.
feed their families and all, it makes sense. Now, let me ask you this since we're on, and we'll get back on this here in a second. Is there hunts to where there cannot be split?
hmm The truck hunts can't be split. The major events at Pro Sport can't be split. Super Stakes Nationals,
Okay.
World Hunt, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hunts that can't be split, but the Pro Classics where they're paying anywhere from a $500 to a $6,500 entry fee, they're all 90% of them are split. They very rarely hunt them off.
Yeah.
These guys will get in, they'll split, they'll get their money, and then off they go.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense though. But,
Yeah, it does make sense
you
from a financial standpoint, but from a guy that makes his living covering coon hunts in the woods, I
you
want to
need
see
them to
that
hunt
final
it.
cast. That's right.
Yeah.
I need him to hunt.
Yeah. That's what everybody wants to watch.
That's right. Nobody wants to
I
watch the
get
semifinals.
No, it don't matter anyways.
Yep.
But but I
But
mean,
no,
I do think with the formats that we have talked about and that we're going to invite, there will be. I don't think you'll have worry about dogs getting pressured, making mistakes,
yeah,
and not only that, the people that own these dogs are true houndsmen.
yep,
They're you're not winning a world hunt being a weekend
no,
warrior. It's not going
no,
to happen. You might get lucky and go to a small hunt where there's four dogs that, well, I pulled old Flo out of the box yesterday, first time in 2 weeks, and get lucky.
yep,
But to compete, just the same as the coonhound world, to
yep,
compete with these
exactly the
guys,
same.
you've got to be on a different level, and you got to be willing to make some sacrifices to
Yep,
play the game at that high of level.
you
And
do. And let's talk about these guys because we know some of them that are
mhm.
probably going to go already, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what dogs and what handlers? Because I mean, this is the Elite Handler Series is going to be a different deal.
You're
In
gonna
the
put me on the
EHS,
spot.
yeah,
I
in
wish I'd
the
have
in
wrote
the
it down.
in the EHS, it don't matter what dog. It's all about the handler. It's the Elite Handler Series, not the Elite Dog Series. But the Super Hunt, the Joy Super Hunt, whether it be coon dogs, squirrel dogs, beagles, or whatever, it's all about the dog. So I mean, if these
Yep.
dogs changed hands, they would have a different hunter at the Super Hunt. I know guys that have tried to buy coon hounds that had already made the Super Hunt, just so they could hunt the Super Hunt. And so that may happen here too. I don't know, but either way, um, these dogs that are Super Hunt eligible, which there's only 4 every year, add a lot of value to them already.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's just like what. And I was joking around with Wade, and I was like, "It's just the dog going right." And he's like, "Yeah." Before we even said anything, I was like, "Well, I guess I better start making phone calls and see if I can't buy one of them
Yeah,
before it
exactly.
comes out there."
Before it comes out, get a
Exactly.
good deal. Get a good deal on one, or
Yes.
you can
Well,
buy all 4 of them.
oh, that would be awesome, but
That would be funny.
it would cost you. Not like y'all's world, but people are
Yeah.
trying to get close to it. For
It would probably cost you still more than you were going to make it to Super Hut.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
guarantee you that it would just would be one of them things like, oh, I got four dogs in there.
Yep.
Now you put me on the spot trying to find who. And I will get back with you on the dogs' names
Yeah,
and
no,
stuff. But
that's fine.
now I know that Dan Thompson, he owns the PKC World
Mm-hmm.
Champion. Actually, I had spoken to Dan a couple of days ago, told him Wade was going to get in touch with him and everything like that. And hold on, I'll tell you the name of the guys that own the one from the NKC, which is the ARHA Little Pack
Yeah.
World Champion. Nathaniel Voice and Sean Sexton is who I believe it is. Now the dog's name, I really couldn't tell you right now,
Yeah.
but I will
Oh,
find it and
that'll,
I'll get that information to you.
yeah, that'll all come out and way ahead of this, but let's talk, rules. Location, we've talked about, a couple spots in Missouri, one in Kentucky,
Yeah.
a few places like that. That's going to be important too, because not only do we have to have a lot of rabbits, um, you know, a good buck rabbit chase would be great, if we could film it. But we also got to have a place where we can see the dogs. We can get the cameras there. The judges can make the right calls, all that thing too. So we can't just have it, in any Joe Blow's backyard. We have to have a lodge to house the hunters. We have to have amenities there for food, places for everybody to sleep, all that stuff. So what what are you thinking as far as where we might hold this event?
As you and I had spoke before, I'm really hoping that I can get a hold of Harlow in Missouri would be ideal
Yeah,
to have it, in my
yeah,
opinion. It's centrally located. It's good for you. It's good for Wade. It's good for me. Uh, the guys that won the Little Pack, they're in Eastern Kentucky, so it's a little closer,
yeah,
a little farther for them, but that's okay.
yeah,
Dan, I believe he is in Indiana or Ohio, so it's not so far for him. Like I said, we're still waiting on the
yeah,
UKC, and I'm still tracking down whoever won the ABC World Hunt.
yeah, yeah.
There's not much on social media about that club, but
And
I
that's the
can't.
thing, and I think squirrel hunters do the same thing, and beagle hunters is they don't publicize, themselves well enough, like the
No,
coon hunters were able to do. That's one of the reasons we have $100,000 hunts, and we have
yeah.
multiple professional handlers and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and why we have an entire, podcast network and stuff like that dedicated to them, whether it be ours or somebody else's or stuff like that. It's just, when I'm doing the Monday morning news desk and I'm trying to figure out who won a squirrel hunt in the USDC, it takes me forever just to find out who it is, and they do better than the Beagle guys do as far as
Yeah.
just letting everybody know what's out there and what's happening.
Oh, dude, we're the Beagle World, and I'm gonna get blackballed for saying this kind of stuff, but that's okay. The
Just
Beagle
text me and I'll
World,
say it,
no, I
BJ.
don't care. I'll
That
say
way
it
they
right
just get
now.
mad at me.
Yeah, the Beagle World is 10 years behind the coon hunting world.
Yeah,
I'm just being honest about it.
yeah,
Now here's what I will say, and what kind of freaks me out so much about not being able to find a lot on who won the World Hunt in the ABC format. Dude, they're getting close because they're already having side by side hunts.
yeah,
They're having a truck hunt.
yeah,
Um, they've had a couple four wheeler hunts, so they're at least they're trying to move up
yeah,
in the right direction,
yeah,
I just think, as far as the publicity of it all, we're still way behind. It's guys, it's not hard to get on social media. I mean, we got
yeah.
Facebook, we got TikTok, we got Twitter that
Just
you can
take it. All you got to
advertise
do is
with.
take a cast picture,
Yeah,
take the names of the dogs and the names of the owners,
yeah,
put it up
exactly.
there for everybody to see, and that's
Yeah.
it.
And if you want to get real fancy about it, we all got them right here. I mean, it's a camera.
Yeah,
Take it
yeah,
out in the field and just watch them
yep,
cross. I
yep,
done it back when I went and judged a large pack trial in Mississippi. 48 dogs coming in. I videoed every one of them walking into the gate, and then I waited for them to take off, and I videoed it.
yep.
And I put it out there. So it's not hard to do. If my redneck old country buck can figure it out, anybody can. you know.
Well, at least you guys got a blueprint. We got a blueprint too. I mean, coonhounds are 5, 6 years behind retrievers and pointing
Yeah.
dogs. Squirrel dogs are 5 and 6 years behind us and you guys are
Yeah.
5 or 6 years behind the squirrel dogs, and then
Yeah.
there's the running dog guys that are running coyotes. They're still keeping scores on stone
Yeah.
tablets.
Yeah, no, we're not
They're-
doing as much as I think that's cool to do and cool to watch.
yes,
They're way behind.
they are way behind, but everybody's getting better, with technology and social media and stuff like that. It's a curse most of the time, but sometimes it's a blessing as far as things
Yes.
like that go. But we're going to
Yeah.
help. I mean, we're going to help get the beagles there, the squirrel dogs, all that stuff too. And I think the super hunt is a
Oh, yeah.
you know, good pathway to that too.
Yeah,
But
it's going to be an excellent way to get out for
yeah,
not only for people like us that are inside the hound world, for people that are outside of it to
exactly.
really get a feel of how everything is done, how everything's taken care of,
Hmm.
the right way to do
And you guys have an advantage when it comes to the outside world too, because y'all's dogs are so small and
it. They're
cute, and
cute.
everybody loves a damn
Yeah.
beagle.
Yeah, until they come in my backyard, and then you get some
Yeah,
that are plumb
yeah, that's
crazy.
right.
There's a difference, and that's what people don't understand. Is you can take a pet beagle, yeah, he's gonna get fat, fluffy, sit on the couch with
Hmm.
you. Then you got the athletes
Yes. Yeah.
that it's worse for them to be inside than it is just let them stay out there and be in their doghouse, get them out, let's go
Exactly.
have fun.
They're not all like her. I know I was telling you about Scent earlier. She's 11 and she has to stay outside. She's miserable. 11-year-old coonhound, and you couldn't. Good luck making her a pet.
It ain't gonna happen.
No,
None of
no.
mine gonna happen.
She's not wired that way. Some of them
No.
are like her, but not very many. But
Yes.
anyway, let's get into the rules before we
Okay.
shut this down,
Yeah.
BJ, because you're you're gonna have to, because I mean, it ain't like the coonhound rules where I can just sit down, I can write them up. I know what works and what don't after years of experience. So you're
Yeah.
going to be kind of the go-to rules guru on a lot of this stuff too. So let's
And I've
just do
done
a quick
changed them
over.
about 6 times since I
Yeah,
sent them to you
I
because
done
I'm
the
like,
same
this
thing with
needs to
the
be
Elite Antler
changed.
Series
This needs to
rules.
be
Yes.
changed. This needs to
And
be changed.
sometimes here's the bad thing is sometimes you don't know until you have, a hunt like this, what needs changed and what don't. But
Yeah.
you've got enough experience. We got a pretty good idea. So just run us through
Oh,
some of
yeah.
the highlights on what you're thinking as far as the rules go.
Okay. Just to start out. We'll just start with the standard of the dog. It has to be a beagle.
Yeah.
Which that's common sense. They cannot be over 16 inches tall. And they shouldn't be if they're where they are, because I believe
Yeah.
that's the rules for all of them. Just like we said before, it's going to be a 2 dog brace.
Yep.
We'll have 2 rounds in the morning, be a 1 hour cast. Winner of each of them will come back in the afternoon. And I guess we haven't really set my personal opinion. I'm thinking 2 hours for the winner's pack, for the two
Yeah.
that won.
I was thinking at least 90 minutes. I mean, it definitely don't need to be an hour for the
No,
final.
no, let them, 90 minutes or 2 hours, either one.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. Continuous clock, no timeouts. Like you and I have talked before, the judge will have the final says. The 2 judges
Yeah.
that are there, you still got to call your dog,
Yeah.
because the judges don't know your dog's mouth, so on that, the judges will have the whole thing, and I don't know. I think it's common sense, but I guess we can put it out there. Your dog has got to hunt on its
Hmm.
own. You can't encourage your dog to go hunt. When you
Yeah.
when you cut him loose, he's got to go. Because I know in some formats, Josh, you are allowed to talk to your dog. You're allowed to work your dog, do whatever you need to do to get that dog in. Here, not going to be like that. Let me talk about some of the scoring aspects.
Yeah.
And let me get your opinion on it. I hope everybody understands. On a strike, when you strike your dog has got to be within. On the third bark, you got to strike your dog.
Yeah.
Points wise, I'm thinking 100 first point, 75 second.
Yeah.
On the strikes. I think on the speed and drive aspect of it, 100 points for the first dog across the line, 75 goes to the second one. And as what we were talking about before, the dog has to be within 4 foot of a marked line, either side of it.
Yeah.
If you got any questions, just stop me and I'll answer
No,
them.
I'm one thing and we do the same thing with the coon dogs. Is there's a lot, and we're not going to have just any old guys, Joe Blow judging.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are going to know what they're doing. Otherwise, we wouldn't put it all in their hands. But there is going to be a lot on the plate of the judge. But they are there's no questions, there's no appeals, there's nothing. What the judge says goes. That's the only way you can do a hunt like this. But, we're going to have a top tier judge. And so it's no different than, being at the Olympics.
Yeah.
They all got judges. If we can get by in a world championship boxing match with judges, we could get by in a coon hunt with one judge or two judge or however many it takes, to make sure this gets done right.
Yes. And I do think, at the end of the day, like on the speed and drive aspect of it, when you're establishing a line, one of the judges has to see the rabbit, or you can't establish a line. I know in a lot of them they will say a majority of the cast, but here's the thing of it here. It's got to be the judge that sees it.
Yes,
it's just
exactly.
what it is.
It's got to be the judge that sees it.
And the rabbit has to be marked before the dogs come across, and it's just what it is, and moving on to then, the next line can't be established until after the first line is scored and closed with a lapse of 30 seconds in between it, so.
How close, ideally, how close is the judge getting to where the rabbit crosses by the time the dogs are there to get that 4 foot on each side to make sure he's as close as he can be? I mean,
to seeing it, I think he could be within 10 to 15 feet of it.
Can you? I didn't know how close y'all got.
Yeah, you can be right on top of them.
Really?
Yeah, and it was just like waiting.
That don't bother the dogs any?
Nah.
Really?
It ain't gonna bother these dogs. No. And it's just like Wade and I were talking about, because he was asking me about an electric bike. He's like, well, what if judges can ride an electric bike? Will it affect them? No. When I judge, I ride a horse.
Yeah.
And I'll be right on top of them. I mean,
really,
they're from me to this computer screen a lot of times,
No kid. Don't bother them a bit.
It don't affect them one bit.
They've been down that road. Of course, these are world champions. They've seen all that before 100 times, probably.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I know some formats don't use a horse or anything, but I judge AKC, and I'm not trying to run them dogs down.
Yeah.
I can do it for an hour or so, but after that, I'm done.
And that's one thing that's got me worried is I've filmed these dogs before, some really good Beagles and fast Beagles, and it's like filming a motocross.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get this stuff on film. Mm-hmm. That's what I was trying to explain to Wade too. I'm like, I don't think, and Wade's just under the Josh will get it. You'll do it. Yeah, you'll do it. I'm like, but he never has told me how I'm supposed to do it.
Well, if you can, depend upon how the paths are cut up and how they're laid out, if there's a way to get a couple paths ahead of them, I know it's a guessing game, because at any time a rabbit can double back or anything, but we'll get enough of it somehow or another. Yes. We'll make sure.
That place is going to look like make sure. Fort Knox with cameras.
Yes,
we can have cameras set everywhere.
Finish line of the Kentucky Derby. That's just what it's going to be.
That's right.
And I guess something else that you and I probably need to discuss later on is about minusing dogs out or anything. Personally, myself, I don't like the aspect of minusing dogs out.
I don't think that fits this hunt, to be honest. No, I mean, this is the deal. If they're taking that much minus, then they're just going to lose anyway. But they can still, this is a showcase of these dogs. Maybe a dog has a bad first 45 minutes of the finals, or a bad first hour or first half hour of the semifinals.
Yeah.
They can still come out and show what kind of dog they are in a loss, for that camera and that guy to be proud of that too. Exactly. I don't want to minus nothing out. I don't think minusing anything out in any hunt makes any sense to me, whether it be a coon hunt or squirrel dog hunt or whatever. If they're drawing that much minus, I'll just beat them.
They're going to lose anyway.
About that.
Yeah,
and most guys, when they're done, they're in our sport, they'll just get out of the way. They'll say, I'm not tromping around out here in the weeds and bugs the rest of the night anyway. I'm just going to get out of here. But I don't think that's fitting for this hunt where we're trying to showcase these dogs and how good they are.
Yeah, that's 100%. And just for people that are going to see this is all subject to be changed at any given time.
Yes.
I know some of it is set in stone that you can't move around, but
right.
If we can think of something that's better fit it's subject to change. You
Yep.
know,
These rules probably won't be locked in completely till a month before,
yeah,
6 weeks
100%.
before, and then we're good to go by then.
Now, in the coon dog world, can you're for the do y'all have a from the time you drop them, say you unhook them, do
Hmm.
you have a lapse in there before you can strike your dog? You know, is it say
1 minute.
like, okay, and that's what we
Yeah,
have
one
here
minute,
on the
one
trip.
minute grace period. Yep.
Okay.
Because they're going to babble. I mean, and
Oh
not
yeah,
all of them do, but a good portion of them are going to bark 30, 40 seconds. After that minute, you got to strike on or before the third bark.
yeah,
If you strike under that minute, that dog has to carry a track out or it's minus those points.
okay. And I guess and also in the Beagle world, there is a time if your dog, just say like you unleash your dogs in 5 minutes, he's just walking around peeing on
Hmm.
everything, pooping on. I don't know how you feel about it, but if I've got to waste 5 minutes for a dog to do something, as a judge, you need to tell that handler, get your dog going, get your dog
Yeah,
working,
no.
do something. But then on the flip side of it, earlier we said, that you can't encourage your dog. So maybe figure out a way to say if that dog's not working in 5 minutes, you got a 25 minus or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I think
It's
that
still
would
in
be
my head
just a
to,
just a small punishment because like in coonhounds, it's 15 minutes and you're scratched.
yeah.
You're done.
Well, and
But
that's the way it is here. Most of the time, you'll be scratched and you're done.
yeah.
But
Odds
with
are we're
this, I
probably
don't
not
want to
gonna
do that.
yeah.
No,
Odds are we're probably not gonna have to worry about it with these four dogs.
no.
But you also want to cover every base too. If a dog's not left and working in 5 minutes, yeah, I would say a 25 or 50 minus would be suitable there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the little nicks and things,
Yep.
it's like you got to figure it out to where it's taken
Yep.
care of. And then you don't want to say, well, so and so's dog wasn't working, but he still won the hunt. Well,
Yeah.
he's going to have to come back from 25 or 50 below,
Exactly.
to do
Yep.
so. He's going to really
Yep.
have to show out, which is possible. I mean, I've seen it happen before.
Yep.
I've seen dogs get 325 minus and still come win by 650,
Yep. Yep.
so
And it's a
it could
deal
happen.
where, a dog travels, maybe a dog ain't feeling good at that moment or something like that. I mean, even a
Yeah.
great dog can pull a bonehead move. Hell, most of
Oh,
them
yeah.
still do, on a regular basis.
Yeah. It's
No,
going to
no
happen.
matter what sport it is, usually the great dogs will still do something stupid, at
Oh,
least
yeah.
once a cast.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I truly believe with the formats that we're pulling from and the people that are getting invited, it'll be a great thing. It'll be.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people be impressed to see what these little dogs can do.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong, I like squirrel dogs. They're cool. They're tree dogs and stuff, but they don't bark on the ground.
Yeah.
I haven't had one. I haven't seen one yet that would open on a track unless it was running a deer or something. And I'd rather listen to one run a deer than I would just sit down and tree a squirrel.
Oh, yeah.
I like listening to dogs run tracks. I always have. I don't care if it's a bear hound or a coon hound or a beagle or whatever. So I'm looking forward to this because I
Yeah.
think, I love watching talented dogs, and these little things are like little rockets,
And
So
that's what a lot of people don't understand, how many miles these little dogs really, because I just use
yes,
myself for example. When I circle a competition trial that I'm going to, I'll usually get serious 30 to 45 days before,
yeah,
and when I start, I like to go 18 to 20 miles per day when I'm getting one ready. You
yeah,
know, now you take that 18 to 20 miles, it may take me 6 or 7 hours to get it sometimes, but other times I've got it in 4 and 5 hours,
yeah.
when you're getting that many miles on a dog that's just say 15 inches tall, I mean, it's pretty impressive, and you
That's a
look down
lot of
at
steps.
you look down at your Garmin, and they're running 6 miles an hour constantly.
Hmm.
Man, it's pretty impressive to see what they can do, and
I think whenever I filmed that hunt with Irvin and Lance, they averaged like 6.5, 7 miles an hour or something like that.
that's
And it was a
rolling.
good running day, buck rabbits in a good spot.
Yeah.
But our hounds from track to tree, these are 70-pound dogs that are 3 foot tall. They're only averaging 8 or 9 mile an hour if they're really good.
Yeah.
if they move around like they're supposed to. And that's from the time you turn them loose to the time they set down on that tree. So
Hmm.
the fact that these things can go that with those little legs compared to what our hounds do, I was astounded on how
Yeah.
many miles they cover
Well, not
and how
only that,
fast they are.
look at the stuff that some of them are going through. Now, I mean, I've
Yeah,
got some spots
exactly.
here that I'm getting ready that when I use to get ready for a dog that I mean it's briars the size of your thumb that are 7, 8 foot
Yeah.
tall, and next thing you know, I mean, they'll go through it like it ain't nothing, and
Yep.
come out ears about shredded and face
Yep.
shredded to pieces, and
And loving every minute of it.
oh, get mad at you,
Yeah.
get mad at you when you say it's time to go. I'm like,
Yeah.
Daggone, you done did 18 miles today, boss. You ready to go eat?
Yep.
Nope.
No,
It's one of the
they're
things.
amazing animals. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good yeah, I think it's just going to be good for competition rabbit hunters everywhere to get the exposure and to get all that stuff. And frankly, I think it's good for Joy Dog Food to just get that name, out there
Mhm.
because there's going to be rabbit hunters that watch this and think maybe I'm gonna try it. Joy does this for the Beagle hunters,
Yeah,
they love us just like they do everybody else, and maybe we'll try to get us a bag.
that's exactly. And you know as well as I do. That's all it takes is that first bag. If you feed that first
Yes.
one, you'll keep feeding it. It's just what it
Yeah.
is.
No,
You
I look at my dogs, and before I started feeding Joy, I was Purina man, Purina only, and I love Purina.
Yep.
They do a lot for our sport too. I know a lot of guys that work for Purina, and they're really good guys. Joy has a very good relationship with Purina.
Hmm.
We sponsors the same stuff at PKC a lot of times, or we're at the same events. And when I swore I'd never would, and then I started feeding Joy before I started feeding their puppy food before I ever went to work for Wade the first time, and I was just like, man, this is really good stuff. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I never would have been in the situation that I'm in right now unless Brina let me do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's just like me myself. I went to when I made the change over to Joy, I had actually went to a large pack field trial in Western Kentucky, 44 big males there. And man, I was down, dude. I mean, it was 6 dogs left.
Yeah,
And we were been there. I mean, it's like 7 hours in. And I kept watching my dog. I'm down there. There's only 6 dogs left. I'm thinking, man, I'm in this. I'm in this. And then all of a sudden, I just seen him gas, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm done. And I seen him take off, and he was a little bit behind. And I'm like, I'm done. And so I come home, and I was like, I got to figure something out. He shouldn't have got gas like that. He's in prime shape.
mm-hmm,
So I started doing some research. I found out about Joy and all that, and so I started feeding it, and then I had another field trial circled. It was like 3 months away, and just what I could get to at the time. And I was like, all right. So I circled it. I kept with the routine that I always did. Josh, the next one, I win it. It's
yeah,
like I didn't gas out, didn't nothing. He was strong from start to finish, looked great, and right there, I mean, it was hook, line, and sinker. I said, if it can keep me up this long and keep me going, and they look good, they look healthy, everything's great, why not stick with it? And
yep.
I've been there ever since, and you know, don't plan on changing. So
No, and I know the good thing about it. We both know Wade, and we both know everything behind Joy too. But man, he just loves hunting dogs, loves hounds. And that's cool to have a guy that owns a dog food company that loves working dogs and stuff like that, like he does. Of course, he was a coon hunter finalist in the ACHA World Hunt back in the day. He's an old man now. I always tell him so he can't. So
yeah,
that was way back in the day when the ACHA was a big deal.
it's back in the Stone Age when
That's
they were
right.
using
That's
when they
right.
were using chisel and stone
That
to
was back when
score.
they were where the coyote hounds are now.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
But
That's right.
no, it's going to be a good time, BJ. Like I said, we got a lot to iron out. Iron out. The rules aren't set in stone. Nothing's really set in stone, but it's gonna happen. I
Oh yeah.
mean, the Beagle Super Hunt is gonna happen. We're gonna take the 4 best dogs of the calendar year and put them together and see which one's the true world champion.
Yep. Exactly. And I can't wait to see it.
Nope.
It's one thing about it, like I said earlier, we all go to win, but I'm always looking for something to better my kennel with also.
Yeah. Yep.
So and given the opportunity like this, I mean, I feel so grateful for it, to be given the opportunity to actually go see 4 of the best, for
Yeah.
this year. And
Yep.
maybe I can talk one of them guys into selling me one before
You
before
never
it
know,
comes
BJ.
out.
Never know. I may
Money
buy the
always
other three.
talks. Yeah,
I may
money
come up with a
always
whole pack of
talks.
them.
That's
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
Money
And
talks.
speaking of money, they're going to get paid.
Yeah,
Winner of this is going to get paid. We don't know the exact amount yet, but it's going to be a pretty good chunk of change,
yeah, and there's
especially for
no
no
entry
entry fee.
fees.
Yes.
Exactly, no entry fees.
Oh,
That's a lot right there.
and the travel expenses are paid, the lodging's paid, the
Yeah,
food's paid. It's a free trip to go win some money. Well, that
yeah.
sounds like a pretty good deal.
And to do what we all love, and that's run some dogs.
Dang right. All
That's
right,
exactly.
BJ, that's all I got. You got anything to add before we shut this off?
No, sir. I appreciate it. God bless everybody. Thank you, Wade. Thanks, Josh. See you guys down the road.
All right, this is Working Dog Wednesday. This is Josh Michaelis. That is BJ Hall, and we will see you guys next week.